This is Mo from Momo. Welcome to my kitchen. It's not the kitchen at the restaurant, but this is actually my home kitchen. As you know, as the temperature drops or plummet, everybody is looking forward for that warm bowl of gumbo. I call it soul warming food. Since the restaurant's closed, I decided to make my own pot. And at the same time, I'm thinking about you guys. So I decided to videotape the process of how I make gumbo at home and share it with everybody. You can learn how to do it my way, or you have your own way of doing it. But I'll share the recipes in the video, and I'll show you some tricks, some secret maybe. This gumbo is chicken and sausage gumbo, which is different than seafood gumbo. A lot of people don't know. So just want to let you guys know we are making chicken and sausage gumbo. So let's get to it. For the celery, try to break it down. So we're gonna try to get a few rib out. I think it's gonna take like for that amount. 4 ribs, I think probably enough. And I'm just gonna cut these for the stock. Use the stem. That should be okay. That should be alright. And the onion. For stock, I don't even peel the skin off. I'm just gonna quarter it up. This is what I use for the stock. I'm gonna wash these. I'm gonna put these back. These gonna probably produce me about a cup. To start the gumbo, easiest way to do it at home is just to go get a roasted chicken. You can get a raw chicken, but you're gonna have to cut them up. You have to pan fry them to get it going. And the reason why roasted chicken is because when you roast the chicken, the skin and everything's already caramelized. So you leave a very good flavor after you roast the chicken. Just like when you pan fry the chicken before you cook it, is you try to caramelize the meat so you can build that layer of flavor on top. To start with a roasted chicken is almost like taking a shortcut. This is very, very fast, and that's how I like to do it at home. What you want to do is separate the meat and the bone. So you can take the bone for the stock, use the bone for the stock, and then use the meat to cook your gumbo. It's a lot easier to do it while it's still warm, but I have the chicken in there for a while now, so it's not. I have 2 bowls. So one bowl is the meat I want to keep, and the other one is I'm throwing the stock to make the stock. So this all stock meat. Here's the wing, and you want the skin and everything. You just want the meat. All the collagen and all this stuff, you want to leave it in the stock. Bones. there you go. That's how much meat you get out of one chicken. It's not bad. So these we're gonna save. And if you have, if your chicken was still hot, all this oil will still be there. But I want to keep it because these are a lot of flavor. You make chicken stock at home. You want to invest in one of these pressure cooker. These will speed up your process a lot. I mean, these pressure cooker, I can get the stock going and done in about 45 minutes to an hour. So it depends. But most of the time I will set it at 45 minutes, and it will take 15-20 minutes to boil. So it takes about an hour for me to make the stock. So all the bones and stuff going in there. Just I want to get most of the stuff behind it. So there goes your chicken. And here I have some onion, just quarter chopped up, and some celery. When I chopped the celery earlier, I took the leaf. I used the stock to get the celery for my Trinity, but the stock and stuff like that, I use it for the leaves and stuff like that. I use it for the stock. The stock, I chopped it up for the Trinity. So here's some flat leaf parsley stem. That, you know, you're gonna throw it away anyway, but you know, I throw them back in the stock. That gives flavor. And if I have carrots, I put carrots in there too. Sometimes I even put in, you know, the Japanese kubu to increase the depth of the chicken stock. And here I have some shiitake mushroom. This is the secret. This is one of my secrets that I'm telling you. Shiitake mushroom actually helps improve depth for chicken stock. And you can get them in the local Asian market, but you don't need a lot. You don't want that to overpower your chicken stock. Just enough to give it a little more depth. And what you do is you soak it in the water for a little while, and that's it. And you'll fill this up to the maximum. I think this thing will do 10 cup, I think. I'll just fill it up. Preferably warm water so it will boil faster. And I don't want to exceed it. Yeah, right there. Drop them in there. Yep. And put these on airtight. Airtight. So instead of you had to cook the chicken stock for hours, sometimes they cook them for 3-4 hours. Like in the restaurant, if I don't use the pressure cooker, I have to boil the chicken bone for at least 4 hours. So these will cut down at least 4 times. So what you do, and you just set it at, I'll set it at 45 minutes. Maybe I'll set it at 1 hour. And man, I can't see. Start. Okay. So you just walk away. Now you're free to do anything else. So you got your chicken here. So what I do is I'll cover it and I'll put it in the fridge. I don't need it now. I have a very unique way to make roux. Some people do it in the oven, some people do it on the stove. And I utilize both. That way I can get my timing. The oven helps me to get my timing right. Preset my oven to 345. Start. So it's pre-warm. It's preheating the oven right now. And we're gonna turn around over here. I'm gonna start our roux on the stove. So I got 2 Dutch oven. This is the Dutch oven that we're gonna cook our gumbo in. This is the one I'm gonna make the roux in. For chicken and sausage gumbo, your roux doesn't need to be as dark as seafood gumbo. Seafood gumbo, you want to almost burn it. Chicken and sausage gumbo, you kind of want it a little, not blonde like etouffee, but you want it a little darker than etouffee. And the temperature of the roux should be around maybe 450, 500, somewhere around there. We start our roux with equal parts of flour and oil. We just use regular cooking oil. And if I was in a restaurant, I'd probably use the deep fried oil. The oil out of the deep fry. That give you a little more flavor. But I'm gonna get, the ratio is 1 to 1. You want to do it in 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 cup of flour with 1 cup of oil. It's 1 to 1, so you can be half cup of half cup of 1 cup of 1 cup. But at this, to cook this much gumbo, half cup of oil, half cup of flour should be enough. From my experience. If I need more, I can add more later. Half a cup of oil, just vegetable oil. You don't want to use butter. The reason is, with this type of gumbo, your roux temperature is very high. Normally 450 and 500. So if you use the butter, by then your butter is already smoking. So you cannot use butter for that simple reason. If you want your roux to be dark. And the vegetable oil, the smoking point is about 475. So you don't have a problem. But for seafood gumbo, that's why I say it's a lot darker. Sometimes those guys, you have to go up to almost 500, 550. I've seen them up to 550. But, and to just start out, you're just learning, I urge you to get one of those infrared temperature gun. That will kind of help you a lot. And that helped me a lot when I started in the beginning. But now that I can just tell by looking at it, so I don't need that anymore. But you want to stir this thing a lot. So I don't want to turn it on yet. I mean, I'll show you. And to stir it, try to get you a wooden spoon. Don't use plastic, don't use metal. You know why you don't use metal? It'll conduct heat, and you stir it a little while and your hands get hot. So before you start, just get your flour and oil incorporated first. Don't turn it on yet. It may not be enough. We'll see. So once the lump breaks out, then turn on. And you know this cast iron is going to take a while to heat up. So in the beginning, you don't really have to stir it. You just turn on the light. You don't really have to stir it that much because it takes a while for the pot to heat up. But once you see bubble, then you may want to turn it down a little bit, start stirring it a little bit. And you want to cook the roux until it start breaking apart. And then I'll stick it in the oven and let it sit. My oven is preheated. I'm going to cook this until I'm ready to take it in there. So, this is up to temperature. You see it start bubbling rapidly? That means it's cooking the flour. So the roux's been in the oven for 30 minutes. I'm gonna take it out and just to stir it up a little bit and put it back in. Technically, I don't have to do anything about it, but just that I'm waiting, I have nothing better to do, so I'm gonna do it. Other than that, if I was busy doing something else, I'll just leave it in there. What happened is if you let it sit there a while, flour will settle, so the oil will flow to the top. By stirring it a little bit, that will extend the whole time even longer. That'd be good for another 30-40 minutes. I'm not afraid about burning the roux. I'm just gonna put it back in. And be good. Alright, while everything else is going on, put a Dutch oven, turn on the heat, and just kind of spray a little bit of the nonstick. I don't want to introduce too much oil because the roux is made out of pretty much all oil, so to cut down the oiliness, I prefer using a spray. Just kind of coat the Dutch oven. And I want to add my diced sausage, andouille, and hatch meats. I'm going to saute. I'm going to turn on the fan. Going to heat down a little bit. Sweat the fat out of the sausage a little bit. Man, it smells really good. It smells amazing. There you can see more oil start coming out. I'm gonna drop in the onion. I'm gonna drop in the Trinity. Onion, green bell, and celery. Start sauteing. So when the onion starts sweating, it will pick up all the sponge that built up. They call it fond, however they pronounce it. It's the French name. Add a little salt or seasoning or whatever. That would help the onion sweat, because salt will draw the moisture out of the onion, so they make it sweat a lot faster. If you don't, you will still sweat, but adding a little salt or seasoning or something will increase your speed. And you can see right away it's welting down. In less than a minute, you see all these onions going to welt down because of salt. Yeah, now the key of cooking is you have to adjust the heat all the time. You don't want to crank it up full blast. I mean, you'll burn. You have to see your situation and adjust your heat accordingly. See, now I see I need a little more heat, so I crank it up a little bit, and when I see it start coming up strong, I'll turn it down. And the beauty of this Dutch oven is it retains heat very well. From the heat, the sugar and the onions will caramelize, and other vegetables as well. Now you can see some of the onion has turned a little yellow on the side. See? And some of the smaller pieces has completely turned yellow. So we're gonna continually stir and cook. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a hair. And now it's time to put in some of your spices, so the spices can get to know each other with your trinity. What I got? Thyme, oregano. The ratio is you always need more thyme than oregano. You just need a little bit of oregano. This is about one. I say one. Put 1 tablespoon in. 1 tablespoon. And this is 1 teaspoon. And you can really smell it. Creole seasoning in there. 2 tablespoons. This is just regular Tony, light. So I can put more without getting it too salty. And then I need bay leaf. I'll throw like 3 bay leaves in here. 3 or 4 bay leaves in here. I wish you can smell this right now. This is, it's very, very nice. Turn the heat way down. Ooh. And that's pretty much it. The onions all sweat. And we can keep this here. Wait until our next stage. Which right now I'm waiting on my chicken stock to get done, but now I'm gonna let this thing set and cool. So the alarm has sound. The stock is completed in the pressure cooker, so I'm gonna release the pressure right now before I can open it. So it'll take a few minutes. While the pressure cooker is depressurizing, I'm going to remove my roux out of the oven. And you can see the roux has slightly darkened. Now make sure your spoon is dry before you stick it in there. Any kind of water will cause it to jump. So this is not there yet. I mean, this roux is probably good enough for etouffee, but for gumbo we need it a little bit darker. So I'll put these roux back onto the stove, and I'll just turn this down to like minimum simmer. And you won't get any darker until I start cranking the heat up. So, and I don't have to stir it either, because it's not getting any harder. Right now I just want to maintain the heat that was in the Dutch oven. I'm gonna put the lid back on until I need it. Now my pressure cooker has stopped depressurizing. So now I'm gonna try to open the lid. Be careful. Okay, the steam will burn you. So let me show you how it looks like inside. That's how the chicken stock look like. I'm gonna strain it and I'm gonna put it back, and then we'll start cooking the gumbo. But since it's still kind of hot and I don't want to mess with it, so I'll let it cool off a little bit. See, what I do now is get me a big bowl and ladle some of the stock out of there, and I can start working on the gumbo. I don't need all the stock, I just need some stock to get me going. So I'll just ladle it out. You can also make the stock ahead of time, So I have like a bowl here from the stock. So what I need now is cook the roux. I'll put some of the stock into the Trinity to start dilute it down a little bit. So what I'll do now is I'll pour some of this stock in here, maybe half, and I'll turn the heat back on. Yeah, about 2 tablespoons of garlic. Depending on how much you like. 1 tablespoon probably enough, I think. Yeah. At the same time, I can start messing with my roux. So I need to crank the heat up a little bit. On the roux side, I want to cook the roux down, cook the roux to the temperature. And then what I would do is I'll ladle these stuff into the roux, but be careful, the roux will jump because this is liquid. So it's safer to cool the roux down with this mixture of the Trinity. And then once it's cooled down enough, we can move it over there. So I'm gonna turn this down, put my focus on the roux. Now the roux is getting really hot. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit. You see, start getting darker really quick. So you have to keep stirring it right now. Don't let this thing splash on you. This thing is hot. This is at least 450 right now. 400 to 450 degrees. So be very, very careful while you're stirring it. And when it hits you, it's going to give you a blister. And to do seafood gumbo, you have to take this even darker. But this is chicken and sausage gumbo, so we don't need to take it that dark. This is 450 and more, because you see the oil starts smoking. The oil smoking point of the vegetable oil is around 450, 475, so we're getting there. We're good. Turn the heat off. So what you need to do is get a lot of these. Don't use the water, use the veggie. Be careful. That will cool down the temperature. And what you do is you stir. And be careful, don't stick your hand in it. The steam will hurt you. Now it's cooling off. See that beautiful roux? Smells wonderful. So once it's cooled off a little bit, you can pour the rest of your stock back in. And then you can pour this back here once you get everything thinned down enough. Right now it's still very thick. See? The roux is cooling off. It's almost like gravy. Like a Thanksgiving turkey gravy. And now I can work on adding more stock in here, get this thin enough where I can pour it back into the main pot. We cool it down enough where I can pour this back into the main pot. Be careful, it's still hot. So then you can take these to the sink. Here we go. Since I can't find my colander, I'm going to try to use these to strain it out. I'm going to layer it out. I usually have a big colander. I can just pour this thing over it, but I can't find it. So I just have to do this. This will take me a little longer. Now that we have strained the chicken stock and poured it into this pot with Trinity and roux and everything, I'm just going to bring this to a boil. At the meantime, we'll set your oven at 210. I'll add the chicken that we shredded earlier. I'll add the sausage. Mess. And I'll put some green onions in here so it will cook down. I'll save some for the garnish. And also some parsley, flat leaf parsley. And once it comes to a boil, I can start tasting and start seasoning again. Let me show you how I season the gumbo. To start, I use a lot of Cajun seasoning. And you may ask me, whoa, where is your secret mix? Well, you're going to make it at home, right? You can't get my secret mix. I don't sell them. So the closest thing you can get is Tony. Light. Make sure you get the light because these have half the salt of the regular. So this will give you a lot more flavor without over salting your gumbo. So I put 3 to 4 tablespoons in that one pot. And paprika, regular paprika, I put 2 tablespoons. And the ratio between smoked and regular, this is smoked paprika. It gives a little more different flavor. And usually I put half of what the regular paprika is my ratio. So this is 1 tablespoon. And you see in the video earlier, I already add oregano and thyme, and sometimes I also put basil. But you already see that I had it earlier when I was cooking the Trinity, and the bay leaf. So these I normally don't add anymore, unless I feel that something's missing. So I'll put more. I'll add more. Other than that, I mean, once I cook the Trinity, when we put that with the Trinity, that's about it. You don't see me. And also pepper. Black pepper. I usually those things to taste. I mean, 2 teaspoons, 1 tablespoon is up to your taste. Filet gumbo. This is a must. I put in Louisiana they have this on the table, so you can use this to thicken your gumbo. But I like the taste profile of it, so I put I think 1 tablespoon in there just to kind of and it helps to thicken it out a little bit too. And also I have okra in my gumbo, so okra also helps thickening it also. Cayenne to your taste. I think I put, if you like it more spicy, add more. And I'll start with one teaspoon. And this is the loose cayenne I buy. This is the 50,000 Scoville. So not all cayennes are equal. Some cayenne are spicier than the other. Especially when you buy cayenne. I don't know if you buy from a grocery store, they don't have those. Like when we buy spices from the spice house, we can pick the heat level. 50,000, 25,000 Scoville. So be aware. You can always add, but you can't take it out when you make it too spicy. Hot sauce, 2 tablespoons, just to give it a little acid, because mainly this is a lot of vinegar. So that will kind of open up your taste bud with a little hot sauce, 2 tablespoons or 1 tablespoon. Worcestershire Lee and Perry or other brand, whatever you prefer. 2 tablespoons. And the secret weapon, I add a little dashi, 1 teaspoon of dashi. This thing is very powerful, so you don't want this your gumbo to taste like miso soup. So just one teaspoon, just to give that little umami to the gumbo. Same thing with fish sauce. Don't put too much. You are not cooking Vietnamese food, but these add umami to your gumbo. That's why I put 1 tablespoon. That's it. You don't want these to overpower. This is very strong. 1 tablespoon is enough. You can hardly taste it, but it wakes up the gumbo. Like people say, it wakes up the gumbo. And you see, I make roux earlier. And if you don't want to go through trouble to make roux, go get you some roux. You know, there's nothing wrong to make gumbo with pre-made roux. I mean, you cut down because I make roux because I had to make the stock. So the stock, I had to wait for the stock to finish anyway. So it doesn't save me any more time going or using this. But if you're lazy, if you don't feel like making roux, or you're not confident of making roux, use this. That pot right there, I use 8 ounce. You see me, I use half cup and half cup. So yeah, use half bottle. It's a 16 ounce jar, so use half a bottle. And that's it. There's also powder roux. I don't use that, but I had people that told me that they use it and they have good results, but I don't know. I never use it, so I can't tell you how much to put in there or recommend you using it. Into the oven it goes. 210, 11. So I'll be back in about an hour and a half. All right, the gumbo has been in there for about an hour or so. We'll turn the oven off and pull it out. Open it up. It's been sitting there for about an hour, more than an hour. So let me pull it out. Be careful, it's hot. I don't want to spill it. I'm gonna set it on my table. And the moment of truth, I'm gonna open that lid up. And this whole thing is hot, so be careful. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. I'm gonna let it cool off. Let me stir it and show it to you. There we go. There's some gumbo there. See, chicken and sausage gumbo. I'm gonna let it cool off first and then let it set overnight. Right now it's good, but tomorrow it'll be better. For some reason, I think it has to do with the roux. It's been cooled down and heated back up again.